Hi, Department of Nutrition undergrads. I'm Tammy Randall. I'm the faculty member in the department who works with all of our students who are either very interested in or already admitted to one of our combined undergraduate graduate programs. Those are called Integrated Graduate Studies, or IGS for short, for students who are completing a BA as their undergraduate degree, or BSMS for students who are completing a BS as their undergraduate degree. So what I want to do is I'm going to take you through the requirements so that if you are interested, you can see if you're on track to apply to one of these programs. They're meant for students who have the grand majority of their major requirements completed by the end of their third year of undergrad, leaving just a few classes and a lot of time to take graduate classes in their senior or at that point first graduate year. So let me share with you. This is the website for our department's undergraduate education programs, and it talks about the Integrated Graduate Studies and BSMS programs. I'm not going to read this to you, so please don't stop watching, but I am going to share some tidbits with you that I think will help you understand whether or not you are eligible and maybe whether or not you actually want to do this. So the first thing that you need to know is that when you make your course plans, if you have more than 3 courses or a total of 9 credit hours left at the end of your junior year that you need to complete for your undergraduate degree requirements, you're not eligible. You have to have everything finished except for 3 courses. So when I say everything finished, that means you have to have your phys ed requirement either complete or you will be completing it by the end of your junior year. You have to have your writing portfolio submitted. You have to have your gen ed requirements complete. That's your arts and humanities, your social sciences, your global and cultural diversity, and I know I'm missing something, but all of those. You have to have all of your stages completed. And for our department, we require that you have completed Biochem 307 for those for whom it is required. And it should be on this page, and I'm sorry that it's not, and we will fix that. So if you are in a position where you would have very few courses remaining for your degree at the end of your junior year to take during your senior year, you can consider this. That means you also have to have completed a minimum of 90 credit hours at the end of that junior year when you would be applying. And then you would complete the 30 credit hours that are required for a graduate degree during what would have been your senior year. Those 30 credit hours count for both credit hours toward your undergraduate degree, because you need 120 at least for an undergraduate degree. And then they are the 30 credit hours that you need for the graduate degree. The key here is that students find confusing, and it is a little bit confusing, that you cannot have any more than 3 courses outstanding for your undergraduate degree. And it has to be 3 specific courses, not just the equivalent of credit hours. So what I'm saying is, if you are coming into the end of your junior year and you have not taken our capstone, Nutrition 398, that's 1. If you are a nutritional biochem major and you haven't taken Nutrition 452, that would be 2. If you are completing DPD requirements and you need Nutrition 550A, that would be your 3rd. Those 3 classes can be taken as a graduate student. They will count towards your graduate degree, but they will also be copied back to your undergraduate record to fulfill those outstanding courses that are hanging out there if you were to say, could I graduate at the end of your junior year? You can't have any more than 3 courses hanging out there that are preventing you from finishing your graduate degree. You won't be there with credit hours. It's the courses that we really have to look at. If you have 4 that are outstanding, you are not eligible for this program. And so if you are an underclassman thinking about this, keep in mind at the end of your junior year, there could only be 3 courses that are able to be counted back toward your undergraduate degree once you become a graduate student. So what happens is if you are in the position where you have completed at least 90 credit hours by the end of your junior year, you've completed your phys ed, you've completed your, well, you've submitted your writing portfolio. And what I'm going to do right here is bring up a checklist that I'm hoping you can see that we put together to walk you through this. So here's the 90 semester hours. The caveat was that I did not say 60 have to have been in residence at Case. You need to have completed the grand majority of the requirements for your major, including 3/4 of the courses that are in our department, the nutrition courses. But the courses for the major include the biologies, the chemistries, the biochems, all of those additional science courses. We talked about Biochem 307. SAGE's requirements, you have to have completed your first seminar, your university seminars, and your writing portfolio has to be submitted. You have to have finished your breadth requirements, or I called them Gen Ed, arts and humanities. That was the one I missed. Natural and mathematical sciences, social sciences, quantitative reasoning, global and cultural diversity. You have to have completed your phys ed, and your overall GPA has to be at least a 3.6. And the reason that we want your GPA to be at least a 3.6 is because graduate school is rigorous. And if your GPA is less than 3.6, we're not convinced that we're putting you in a situation to be successful in this program. So if you are interested and you think you qualify, go ahead and download the checklist, see where you are. If you actually are ready or think you will be ready in your spring of your junior year to apply, then what you do is come meet with me. I will become your advisor once you are in this program, or once you are convinced that you want to do this program and you want to work toward it. We will go through your class schedule, make sure that you are on track. Once you get to the point where it's right, time for you to apply, you'll fill out that checklist and say, yes, I finished all these things. You'll bring it to me. I will confirm that you have met all those requirements. Then you'll complete the grad school application, which is step 2 here. And then there's an additional form that you need to fill out to be eligible for admission to either IGS or BSMS. And that is called a planned program of study, and we call it PPOS. And what it does is it makes you take a look at those graduate courses and see which ones you think you would like to take during that year when you are technically a graduate student. It is not set in stone, but it does make you think about it. You turn it in with your grad school application. It can be changed later on. Once you have your PPOS, Planned Program of Study, approved by the advisor, me, undergraduate studies and graduate studies, you will be admitted to the graduate school. And then you need to actually accept that offer to become a graduate student in CIS. The one thing that I want to just say, and I know that those of you who actually go through with this will forget, and I'll remind you later, is that once you become a graduate student, all of the courses that you register for show up on your graduate record. You'll have 2 pages in CIS. One will be your graduate record and one will be your undergraduate record. And the courses that you register for once you become a graduate student will only show up on your graduate record. They're not going to show up on your undergraduate record until you've received a grade in those courses, and the ones that need to be transferred back to finish undergraduate requirements will be. But I often get questions from students during their first semester of either IGS or BSMS, and they say, it's not showing, I'm registered for it, I'm in this class, Nutrition 398, for example, it's showing up on my graduate record, it's not showing up on undergraduate. That's because you are a graduate student. The transferring back doesn't happen until the end of the semester. So things to think about when you are deciding whether or not you're interested in this. One is, will you be ready? And will you be ready without having to cram in so many courses in your sophomore and junior, or perhaps your junior year, that your grades will suffer? It is not worth it to have your grades suffer just to be able to do this program. You can get a graduate degree at some other time. You can get a graduate degree after you graduate. The other thing to think about is, why do you want to pursue the graduate degree? If the answer is just because I can, maybe you need to think about whether or not that's really a good enough answer, because graduate school is very different than undergrad. It's much more self-directed. You need to think about time management much more. There are fewer things that are due on a regular basis, and it's easier to fall behind. So you have to think about whether or not you are ready for courses that allow you to be a little bit more self-directed. If you were planning on getting a graduate degree right after undergraduate anyway, you feel that you are in good shape with the courses that you have laid out for your junior year, then sure, look into it and we can talk about what your schedule would actually look like. So with this, I am going to hold some, or at least one, Q&A session for students who are interested. It will be posted in the weekly Department of Nutrition newsletter. And at that time, if you have general questions, please do come and ask them at that Q&A session, because I'm sure other students will have the same questions. If you have very specific questions about your situation, email me to make an appointment. And I'm tammy.randall@case.edu. You knew that. Anyway, I hope this gives you a little bit of an idea of what you absolutely must have completed at the time that you would apply to the IGS program. There really are no exemptions. You can only have those 3 courses remaining to complete your undergraduate degree. You must have 90 credit hours. You must have completed your phys ed at the end of that junior year semester. You must have submitted your writing portfolio. You must have completed 3/4 of the classes in your major, including 3/4 of the classes in our department for your major. And you must have completed all those general education requirements. There are no exemptions. So with that, I hope this gave you something to think about. And if you have questions, please schedule on your calendar to come to the Q&A. And if you have very specific questions about your situation, please email me and set up a time to chat. Have a great evening, and I hope the rest of your semester goes incredibly well.